We don't have.
Can men get pregnant?
Depends. I know.
What does it depend on?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Our S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z agenda.
The agenda. That sounds so nefarious.
It is agenda. It is agenda. When you start, trying to get policies placed into school that allows teachers to call your child by a different gender, and as a parent, they're not required to tell you. They could be calling your little boy Samantha all day at school, and they don't have to tell you. That's an agenda, right? When you start trying to systemize it,
There's no way that's happening, though. There's no way. I don't think teachers are out here calling children by different names just for the sake of calling them different names. I'm sure there's probably some few situations, but I doubt that's common.
To make it systemic, it becomes an agenda. And when you see how vicious that lobby has become, particularly so I've said, like, you had me at the L, lost me at the T.
Why the T?
The T, because that's when you started telling people they were bigots because they don't want to play the crazy game. So here's my point. I think it's a mental disorder. I think there's tons, gender dysphoria is a mental disorder. There's tons of mental disorders out there. There are people that walk around down the street and think they are Superman. Think they have powers and they can fly and they're Batman. And I would never want to see that person attacked. I grew up in a family where one of my uncles had severe mental disorders and thought he was like Indian from a tribe or something. Kind of got it because he was in solitary confinement for too long and he actually went crazy in prison. So I've always been sensitive to people that have mental disorders. But when you start saying in society that you now have to pretend that Candace's uncle is an Indian, and if you don't, acknowledge him as Pocahontas, then you're a bigot. That's wrong.
Pocahontas.
Now you're putting the pressure on me to not just be, accepting of this, but now to play the crazy game and to say if you mispronounce and you don't call him Chief Pocahontas, then you're a bigot. I don't play that game. I'm going to live in reality. You cannot live in reality. You can say how you feel. You can say what you think you see. You can say that you think that, we're on Mars right now, but I'm not going to pretend that I see Mars because it makes you more comfortable.
So I would, obviously I disagree. And what's interesting is there are people, you say you're with the L and the G and the B. There are people who, 30 years ago would have made the exact same arguments against you for the L, the G, and the B. They would have said that there's scientific data, that these are people who have mental disorders. There's some misalignment between what they desire and what they're supposed to. That there's some kind of gender thing going on that they're confused about. I think that we have to do a few things. For me, I think the easy part, and this is the part I think you and I agree on, is that we have to accept, and we should accept people as they present themselves in the world, right? Like if someone says if I told you my pronouns were she, her, you would address me as she and her, right?
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
No, I would call you Mark.
Okay, but you wouldn't call me he.
No, because I mean, I would call you Mark, if that was something that made you comfortable. But if I saw you,
and if I said my name was Jane, would you then call me Jane?
If that was your legal name, yes.
But you'd only call me by my legal name.
Yeah, I call you by your legal name. I don't have an issue with that. But I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to change what these established pronouns for.
This is such a weird debate to me. This is such a weird. I don't really even know what's going on. This is so weird.
For male and female, because you say, I'm Mark, and here I am
So
presenting.
what do you? So I really want to ask you. I'm genuinely curious about this. But first, let me just say, I think that one, this isn't a case of someone thinking there's something that they're not. What people are saying is that there is a misalignment between my sex and my gender.
Disorder.
No,
That's the point. My mind and my body don't match. That's a disorder.
That doesn't make it a disorder. It just means that the world may be more diverse than we've previously understood it to be, whether we see it in plants, whether we see it in animals. There's all kinds of complexity, and we look in history. I mean, even we go back to the continent of Africa, we look in Asia. There's all kinds of examples of people who have complicated gender performances and complicated understandings of gender, and how we perform gender can be different. Mm-hmm. But I guess my question for you would be, why, if someone identifies as, particularly someone who you engage with, say it's a colleague at work or whomever, a family member, whomever, if they say, look, I prefer to be called she and her, and I no longer want to be identified by this name, why not just honor that?
If you changed your name, I will honor it.
But why not? I mean, I'm sure you call people by nicknames, dog. I'm sure you grew up in a black neighborhood, right? People, I know you know somebody named Peanut, right?
Yeah.
You're right. You don't say, well, that's not your legal name. Your mama named Joe. I'm gonna call you Joe.
No, I'm saying if a name is one thing, but if you're asking me to change pronouns, I'm not going to do that because these are established pronouns. You're asking me to now change the English language, right? We know why we call female she, her, girl, woman. Okay, these are words that have meanings. These are words that have meaning. So this is a book, right? So could you call this is a book and this is a mug? Could you call this a book and call this a mug? Yes, you could do that if you want to change it. But words have meanings, right? So now if I switch it and you say, well, this mug wants to be called a book, it's a mug. It's just a mug. This is the word we've established for mugs. This is the word we've established for books. So you're asking me to change the actual meaning of words to accommodate you. I'm not going to do that.
No,
now, I'm not going to do that. It is because not only is it a request, you can.
What is the request? Because I'm trying to follow, of course, what he's trying to say and what she's trying to say, just to see like both sides of the spectrum on who's right, who's wrong. But I'm not even gonna cap. Like after this point, I don't really know what he's trying to do. If somebody has a name that you want them to call them, obviously call them their names, because that's just, if they want to be called a name, call them the name. You can't be like, no, I'm not calling you that. You could, but you gotta be ready for what's coming after that. But trying to tell somebody that you need to say they're something else, there's a lot of problems with that too.
Now get in trouble in certain states.
I'm saying that's not people
for misgendering someone.
The request of the trans community is not that I'm actually a man, but I want you to pretend I'm a woman. The argument of the trans community, which I agree with, is no, I am a woman. And so I want you to revert me.
But you're not a woman. So that's the problem. So this is what I say is now you've asked me to take on your mental disorder, right? So I am okay with the fact the argument from my uncle who thinks he's a Native American from a certain tribe is that this is what he thinks. He thinks, but he's not. Okay, so I'm not, then to say to me that argument is valid because he thinks it, no. Just because you think something doesn't make it real, okay?
But that's exactly what gender is. Gender is exactly about an experience and a performance and a social construct.
It's not a social construct. Stop saying a social construct. To say that words don't have meaning and they're socially constructed means nothing, and I'll tell you why.
Well, they are.
But you say that, but then
This wasn't always a book. This could be called mug.
So then you know what it is? Our entire discussion about Black America meant nothing. There's no such thing as racial injustice. See what I did there? Because black is a social construct.
Yeah, but we live in a social reality. So within that social reality...
It can't be both, Mark. So you either think that the gender wage gap is BS, that feminism is wrong, and that racial disparities are all BS because everything's a social construct. You're either going to go full postmodernist and say nothing is real and it's all made up, or you're going to acknowledge that there are some hard, concrete truths. If there are hard, concrete truths...
She's right. Because if you say, and this is just factual, you say gender is a social construct, then you have to say race is a social construct, because race is actually more of a social construct. We say somebody's black, we say somebody's white. We don't say what percentile of European or what percentile of Nigerian they are. We just say you're black and you're white. That is literally a social construct. Because somebody can look black but be European. Somebody can look white but be 100% African. It's like, it's pure social construct. But if you're saying gender is a social construct, you have to say race is a social construct. And then that bags into a different issue. You have to say certain issues we discuss are also social constructs. So in this case, everything would be a social construct. It just gets kind of weird, man. So I'm interested to see how he's gonna, bounce back from that, or how he's gonna discuss this and flip it around.
You and I are black, okay? That's not going to change because we wake up and we decide, you know what, today I'm white and it's just how I feel, and today I'm Chinese. No. You and I are black, okay? We are acknowledged as black people. We're sitting down as black people. I am a woman. You are a man, okay? Now, if I want to wake up tomorrow and say I'm a man, you want to say you're a woman, and we want to play the crazy game, we can do that. To then say all of society now is to pretend that it was all a social... No, it was a social contract. You were born a male. I was born a female.
Yes, that's a sex.
We are black. Okay, it's a color though. Black it's a word that we use to say a sex. Female is a word that we use that has a meaning. Yes, it means you are born with a vagina. You can have children. You have a uterus. When you are a male, you are born with a penis. You get a woman pregnant. These words have real meanings. We cannot suddenly get into society where there are no truths.
So to acknowledge a social construct does not mean that we ignore biology and it doesn't mean that we don't have.
Can men get pregnant?
Depends. I know.
What does it depend on?
I know trans men that can get pregnant.
That means it's a woman. Only one sex can get
That's
pregnant.
a circular argument. That's
It's not a
begging the
circular
question.
argument.
Yeah.
It's proving my thing. There is a truth, a concrete truth. You have to be born with a uterus to have a baby. Only women can get pregnant. The fact that we've arrived in a society where
Right, and
this
that's
is
the part I'm
even
disagreeing
debatable,
with. That's the part I'm disagreeing
there's
with.
nothing to disagree with it. These are facts. So you can say that this person who is pregnant identifies as a man. That person was born a woman. I can tell you that every single time because only women can have sex because there are concrete truths about life.
Have babies.
Can have babies, pardon. And that is a hard truth about life. You cannot make that go away because you want to call a man, somebody who has a beard and dresses like a dude a woman. Only if it's pregnant, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's a woman.
So I'll give you. Let's go back to the social construct thing because then it'll answer the thing you just said. I'm not ignoring what you just said. I want to tie it together. So the idea of my point was that a social construct doesn't ignore physical realities, right? The social construct is about how we as a society make sense of those physical realities, right? So, for example, you said we're black, sure, right? I'm trying to think of you pick a light-skinned black person, right? They're black, right? We'd agree on that. Now let's go to the Dominican Republic. Let's go to PR. Let's go to Puerto Rico. Let's go to Jordan. Let's go to Iraq. Let's go to Sudan. Let's go to Ghana, right? And let's go to South Africa. I'm picking these places very specifically because they have different racial logics and racial paradigms. And what it means to be black here, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a universal blackness, right? That if in Dominican, there might be 5 different other racial categories, right? And there are some light-skinned black folk here who, when they go to Ghana, get basically seen as white, right? Because of how we socially construct it. Doesn't mean my biology changed. Doesn't mean my physical reality changed, but how society.
So he's saying, based on where you are in the world, determines how you interpret social constructs or how you interpret life. And that actually makes a lot of sense. That a social construct is kind of dependent on where you are. Like if you could be black in America but go somewhere else and be white. But then that kind of confuses me a little bit because are you actually turning into a different race or are you just seen as a different race? Let's say a light-skinned person goes to Africa. He said you can be seen as a white person, but he didn't say you become a white person. And that's the difference in this discussion. Just because you're seen as something doesn't mean you actually are that, because you're still black. You're just not as black as everyone else there. So you're seen as something else. But they still acknowledge that you're black. They just know you're not as black as we are. So that's kind of the issue. Because there's still a concrete truth. Even in his opinion, or not opinion, in his statement, there's still a concrete truth. But he's kind of ignoring it a little bit to prove his point. But I want to hear what else he has to say, because what he said was pretty interesting. I'm not gonna cap. He's obviously I was gonna say he's pretty smart, but he said some questionable stuff.
Society engages this stuff is what makes it a social construct. So similarly, when it comes so I'm not ignoring the realities of race. So with race and racism in America, and then I'm gonna take it back to the gender thing. When it comes to race and racism in America, it's yes, biologically we're all the same. Right? Black people, white people, there's an infinitesimal difference between a black person and a white person in terms of our genetics, right? This is superficial stuff. But that's a biological reality, right? It's a biological fact, right? Just like as biologically true as me being born with a penis, right? But the truth is, but the idea that there's social meanings attached to that blackness that make people fear me, or that make people think that that person's life is worth more because they're white or whatever. Those are social meanings that are arbitrary and different. So to acknowledge social constructs doesn't mean you ignore biological realities.
But you just did that when you said that men could give birth.
So similar.
You did do that.
What I'm saying is that I'm not denying the biological reality of maleness, of the genitalia we're assigned at birth and what we can do with those body parts. I'm not denying that. That's a biological reality. Again, the social meaning I'm attaching to.
Oh my God!
Is what I'm saying is more complicated.
This is why I'm so confused, because he keeps kind of changing around the definition. Like, are there truths or are there not truths? In his situation, and I'm trying to follow. I genuinely am, because I want to know, like, your outlook on this, if you're making sense or not. But you keep changing around the definitions, and it's honestly just confusing me. Like, are there truths or are there not truths? So is the social construct just how we interpret the truths? But in that case, nothing would be true. Everything would be subjective. But he also just stated that everything isn't subjective, and we do have objective truths. But how we interpret the objective truths is subjective? Like, what? Where do we draw the line? That's all I'm trying to say. Like, where is the line drawn to be like, okay, these are the truths, and these are our opinions. So, what do we do here? Like, I'm confused.
But it's not complicated. Can men give birth?
Sometimes. That's my answer. Yes.
And the
bruh.
answer that is crazy. And this is we cannot. It's just crazy. We cannot allow this to happen.
But you wouldn't say the
There
definition of
are
being a woman is the
truths.
ability to give birth.
And I'm not saying it, but only women can give birth is a factually true statement. Only women can give birth. There's only one type of human being
Only
that
people
can
with
give birth.
uteruses and vaginas
Yes,
and
can
stuff
give
can
birth.
give birth.
Only women can give birth.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Birth.
I'm not, and that here's what I think we're talking past each other. What I'm saying is, I'm not disputing the fact that certain body parts yield certain kinds of possibilities, right? What I'm disagreeing with is the idea that that is the measure of whether or not you're a man or a woman in society.
Okay, but it is now come to a point where if you say that only women can give birth, you are called a bigot. That is crazy. That's nuts. So if you say, like J.K. Rowling did when she got canceled by the Harry Potter cast, that only women can menstruate, okay? Can men get their period? Can you help my audience? Can men get their period?
Some can.
Okay.
Yeah, trans men. There's some trans men who can. And again, I think it's okay to ask interesting questions. I think it's okay to have intellectual debates, but I don't think that we.
I honestly think this backs into a different question. I think what he's trying to say is that the definition of men and women are just changing or are fluid. What she's saying is that the definition of a man and woman are not fluid. But this all just, I don't know, man. I'm confused. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what's happening anymore. I'm trying to learn from both sides, but I'm genuinely just getting confused, man. I don't know. He's saying that it's fluid. She's saying it's not fluid. I'm saying I don't know, man.
We ever want to enter a space where we deny the humanity, and I'm not saying you are, but to deny the humanity or the experiences of other people.
I'm like I said, I was totally okay with trans until it became a demand. What you are denying is my ability to be an intelligent human being, right? You're denying my ability to talk about science and biology in a meaningful way. You are now making your existence is actually infringing on mine. Okay.
How so?
And because when you make it a requirement now that I have to pretend that men can give birth and men can menstruate and there needs to be tampons as the ACLU is fighting for in male restrooms, and that if I don't see the reason, the importance of that, then I'm a bigot. I'm someone that doesn't accept. No.
But
I
those same
accept you if you want to run around and you want to wear a dress and you want to call yourself Tiffany and you want to put
But
a
you won't call
pillow
them
in
Tiffany.
you. If you want, I don't.
See, that's the problem I have. You can't make other people do something. Like that, for one, that's against freedom of speech. You can't make other people do something. And plus, another concern that he's kind of ignoring here that's actually upsetting me a little bit is what if certain religions don't allow you to say that? What if certain religions are more so on the front that there's only this type of thing and you're trying to force other people to say something else? No, there's something called religions out there. There's something called cultural beliefs. So by you saying like, no, you have to say this, that's bigotry in my opinion. Nobody's saying, I'm not even saying you're wrong here. I'm just saying that your outlook on everything is wrong. Your outlook on everything is wrong, man, because you can't just force other people to agree with you. That's not America, and that's not right. That's not respecting religions. That's not respecting cultures. And it's kind of ironic because you're kind of getting on someone else for not doing that, but you also aren't doing that. So I'll just say be a little more fair.
Need to know your name. It doesn't mean anything to me. If you want to call, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't believe your name is Tiffany. You know, if a person comes up to me and they're in a dress and a skirt and they say my name's Tiffany, okay, cool, Tiffany, cool, right? But when it becomes Candace is a bigot because she won't acknowledge that Tiffany the man got her period and can have a baby, I'm not playing that game. I will never.
So tomorrow, I'll
back
come on your
down.
show tomorrow, and I have decided that, or a year from now, suddenly I have reimagined my identity, and I have recognized and affirmed my identity as a trans woman, and I no longer want to identify as Mark. I want to identify, as to use your example, as Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't be like, this book says Mark, you're Mark. You'd call me Tiffany.
I'd call you Tiffany, but I'm not going to call you she and her because that has real meaning, and I'm not going to play the
What's
game.
compromised by that is what I'm trying to understand.
My reality. You're now saying you've transformed your reality, and now I have to pretend that words have no meanings.
Yeah, like I'm trying to I'm remaining objective in this. I'm trying to understand both sides, just to learn more about it. But where do we draw the line? Like I think he's blurring objectiveness and just in his personal beliefs, and I don't think he has a line that he draws it. I just think everything just flows together, and it just gets kind of confusing. Like it's extremely confusing, man. Like I'm not even gonna lie. I'm just confused. Like I don't know. This is stressing me out. I don't know what to say.
And they do have meanings, right? So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to call you, hi, Tiff. How you doing, Tiff? Did you have a good day, Tiff? Great, Tiff. I'm not going to then say she. I'm not doing that. And if people cannot, if people the demand.
But you won't misgender me either.
What? I'll just call you Tiffany.
But and if they say where'd Tiffany go, you're not gonna be like he just left. You'll say she just left.
I'll probably slip up once or twice. But
I'm not talking about
Tiffany
mistakes,
just
but I'm saying
left.
you wouldn't intentionally misgender me.
No, I wouldn't intentionally misgender you, but I don't want Tiffany in my bathroom. I don't want Tiffany
But
in
you also
my
don't want
spaces.
tampons in the other bathroom. That's
Right?
what I don't get.
No, I don't care. I don't care. I think it's stupid. I think it's foolish. I think it's dumb. But if that's really where guys want to go, do it. I don't care. It's not my business. It doesn't impact me. I don't have to go in the bathroom. But I don't want Tiffany in my bathroom.
And you okay? Are you okay with gender neutral bathrooms?
That's how most bathrooms are. That's all. Go on the plane. They're all gender neutral.
No, I got you. But
Yeah,
I'm saying
bathroom, fine.
But I'm
Cool.
saying designating a specific one like in public spaces, like restaurants.
Yeah, I hate that they say gender neutral because usually they just say bathroom. Like they don't need to say gender neutral. It just says bathroom, and we all understood that. That just seems to be an extra step of virtue signaling to say gender neutral. You just put bathroom. Everyone knows what that means.
No, but a lot of times in places like, for example, in our university, we have male bathrooms, we have female bathrooms, and
Yeah.
then we have gender neutral bathrooms.
You could just put bathroom. Everyone knows what it means. You put WC, everyone knows what it means. It means anybody can go here. That's always been that way since the beginning of time. And then suddenly the trans lobby wanted it to say gender neutral, and suddenly we had to put gender neutral.
That's
and I
so
was like,
fascinating because I find it actually to be the right in this case, and I'm not.
planes. Do they say gender neutral? Or
I'm
just
with you.
bathroom.
I'm with you. I mean, grandmom's house.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, right? I mean, no one called it gender. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I often find that it's the anti-trans community that's like, oh my God, the gender neutral bathroom.
Because it's the
God made bathroom for man, bathroom for woman. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, they've always been just bathrooms. Usually at small places, just bathrooms. It's fine, but like I can't stand the preamble to the Constitution. Any person can go here. We don't care whether you. Just shut up.
I think
just put
that's
bathroom.
a good thing. I think
No,
that's
it's just
about
annoying. It's just the constant virtue signaling. Just shut up. Just put bathroom.
It's about affirming people's identity.
You don't need your identity affirmed on a bathroom sign. If you need
You
that,
do if you've been denied access.
All right, this conversation is getting a little weird, man. They're talking about bathrooms and stuff. I don't even know where this is going. We're arguing over freaking bathrooms. Bruh, I just can't believe any of this. Life is so unserious sometimes. But if y'all have any suggestions, comment them down below. I honestly don't know what to say about this. Leave suggestions, and I'll talk to y'all later.